Beginning in mountain pose, standing with the feet hip width apart, shoulders back and down, lengthening through the top of the head. Taking that navel back to the spine. Breathing in and out through the nose. Slight bend in the knees, grounding into the feet, lengthening from the balls of the feet to the crown chakra, the top of the head, and our drishti to tip of the nose. Raising those hands up to the sky. Bring the palms together in prayer, slight back bend, looking up. Exhale, bringing the hands down to cactus position. Hands up, back bend. Exhale, hands back down to cactus. Inhale, palms up and back bend. Bringing those hands back down to cactus. Inhale, raising the hands above the head, slight back bend. Just whatever's available to you. And bringing those hands back to cactus. Now we're going to bend the knees and we're going to swing the arms from side to side, just keeping those forearms parallel to the mat. And you can take this as fast or as slow as is comfortable for you. Engaging the navel, pulling up on the pelvic floor. Breathing in and out through the nose, right to left. And then relax those arms. Just allow them to sway from side to side, flopping onto the side of the body. Bending the knees a little more, side to side. Just releasing that body, allowing the middle body to start to twist and move. Back to mountain, taking the hands above the head again, back bend. This time, we come down into chair pose, Uttanasana. Now you can rest those elbows in the knees, or you can take them off the knees, pushing the palms together. Placing those hands down on the mat, and we're going to bend alternating knees, keeping the feet flat on the mat. And we're looking towards the knees. Allow the head to fold forward. Now I'd rather the hands were straight onto the mat. Or blocks. Come onto the tips of the fingers, lengthen through the top of the head. And wiggle those sit bones just to release the lumbar spine. Place the hands down. Take the right foot back into high lunge and just bounce into this high lunge before taking the left foot back into plank position. Pulling that navel back to the spine, pushing into the hands. Now, if you have to come into half plank on forearms or take the knees down to the mat, that's absolutely fine. Work at your own pace here. Then we're going to pop into side plank. So, right hand on the mat, extending that left hand up to the sky. So the feet can be one in front of the other, or stacking. Then taking that hand back down to the mat. And we're coming back to plank position again. Taking the navel back to the spine, engaging that core. Breathing in and out through the nose. Remember to breathe before twisting over to the opposite side. So right hand stretching up to the sky. Balancing on the left hand, but not collapsing the body. Lifting up by the right hips. Stacking those feet or one in front of the other, wherever you need. And back to plank position again. Again, you can drop those knees into half plank if that's what you need. Pull the navel back to the spine. Become aware of the pelvic floor, pulling up on that pelvic floor. Bend the elbows and come into upward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now you can drop the thighs down to the mat. Take those shoulders back and down and look towards the tip of the nose. As you push into the palms, walk the feet forward slightly and pull up with the sit bones. Now bending those knees, we're now in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing doggy. And we're going to walk that doggy, bending the knees, alternating heels, coming to the mat. Bouncing into the pose, bending the elbows so they don't lock out. Shoulders back and down away from the ears. Really play with this dog. Allow yourself to twist and bounce, releasing the muscles of the neck. Bending the elbows, bending the knees. Don't worry about getting those heels on the ground. Alternating heels, bending the knees. This is the way to do it. And allow the body to twist to either side, looking under the arm in the opposite direction. Just changing sides, looking from left to right. Wiggling those sit bones, releasing sacroiliac joint. bending the elbows, bending the knees, bouncing backwards and forwards, really lengthening from the sit bones to the top of the head. And finding a place of stillness in downward dog. Again, the heels do not have to be on the mat. That's not what we're doing here. This really helps stretch the legs, improve circulation. A gorgeous strengthening, lengthening pose. Fantastic for toning the arms and the legs. From here, we're going to pop back in to plank, and from plank into upward facing dog or cobra. Okay, so thighs down, thighs up, it's up to you. We're going to loosen out that neck. We're going to look forward towards the tip of the nose. Shoulders back and down, slight bend in the elbows, pushing into the palms. Really enjoying that release in the lumbar spine. Can you feel that? Remember to breathe. Don't be afraid to release the neck. Looking left to right, slowly releasing any tension in the neck and shoulders. Coming on to the knees and into Balasana. So let's be nice to ourselves here. This is really fantastic for calming the mind, allowing you to relax. Lowering the hips back onto the heels and just stretch those arms out in front. It's extended child's pose. And from here, we're just going to continue to breathe. And then we're going to walk the hands, the fingertips over to the right. And as we do, we're going to extend the body over to the right, the forehead over to the right. Really lengthening with the tips of the fingers. Walking those hands back to the middle and now over to the left side. Extending with those fingertips, really enjoying the stretch along the side of the body. So the right side of the body, really loving that stretch. And back to center. From here, coming on to all fours and then popping into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog again. Placing the palms on the mat. Bouncing into that down dog, walking the doggy, alternating knees, alternating heels to the mat. Bending those elbows, shoulders back and down away from the ears. Don't worry about straightening the legs. Don't worry about getting both heels to the ground. Just do what feels comfortable for you. Remember to breathe. Really play with your dog. Enjoy the release in downward dog. If you can take the heels to the mat, that's fine. If you can't, that's absolutely fine too. Inhale, exhale, release and strengthen. If you can find stillness in down dog, that's fine. If you want to keep moving, that's fine. And then we're going to walk that right foot forward between the hands. And from here, we're going to come up into Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana. Lengthening through the tips of the fingers. Or we can bend those elbows and take the fingertips up to the sky. They don't have to be together, whatever is comfortable for you. If this is not available, you can even take the hands to the hips. Changing over side. The left foot is now at the front, lengthening those fingertips up to the sky or out to the side or on the hips. Front foot to 90 degrees, back foot to 45. This is Warrior 1. And then we come into Warrior 2. So bringing those hands down so that they're parallel with the mat. Lengthening through the tips of the fingers. Both sides, really stretching out that body. The knee should be above the ankle in the front leg. And the body should be lengthening upwards. Again, as always, let's bounce into the pose. Release the ligaments, the joints. Loosen up the body. Warm up the joints. Keeping the arms parallel to the mat, we're going to place the front foot at 90 degrees and the back foot at 45. Heels should be aligned. Extending through both sets of fingertips. Lengthening through the top of the head. Nice straight body. Head should be above the hips. That knee should not go over the ankle. Lengthening, extending, arms, legs, core, everything nice and active here. Find a place of stillness or continue to edge into the pose with that slight bounce. Coming into reverse warrior, we're going to slide that left hand down the left leg and extend the right hand up and over. And our drishti, our point of focus, is the tip of the nose. So we're looking up. Now that right knee is above the right ankle. We're coming back to centre and we're changing over. So we're only holding these for 5 breaths each side, guys. Taking that right hand, sliding it down the right leg. Again, you can come to the calf, the thigh, whatever is comfortable. Extending the opposite arm up and over. If this is sore in the neck, just look forward. Okay. Knee should be above the ankle, thigh parallel to the mat. And coming back again to centre. So we're going to come into wide leg standing forward bend, lengthening through the top of the head, engaging the navel. And we're going to extend forward and down towards the mat. So we're going to take those hands down. The heels are going to be parallel, toes slightly turned in, bending those elbows, bringing the hands down to the mat. If this is not available, that's okay. You can come onto the forearms. You can place the hands or the forearms on blocks or a bolster. Just make sure you're nice and stable. And we are bending from the hips, so lengthening from the sit bones to the top of the head. And just really enjoying this gorgeous stretch. Folding forward from the hips, keeping that spine nice and long. Hands on the ground or on blocks. Remembering to breathe. Coming back up onto the hands. We're going to extend those right fingertips up to the sky or to the hips if that's not available. And we're going to look up to the thumb of the right hand. Again, if that's not available, you can look down towards the left hand. Just be mindful of what's going on with your neck. Okay. A lot of us have issues around the cervical spine, the neck, the shoulders. So lengthening through the fingertips, not collapsing into the bottom hand. So taking that right hand, walking it in our hand's width, placing it on the mat and lengthening through the tips of the fingers of the left hand, looking up at that left thumb or looking down at the right hand if that's what's available, really twisting from the core, twisting that torso. We can take the hand down to the hips and we're going to take the hands in front now. And we're just going to rock backwards and forwards on the palm of the hands, keeping the feet grounded on the mat. The hips and the sit bones, the torso, shoulder blades, they're all moving. Gently backwards and forwards, easing into the position, opening the body, opening those sit bones, the hips. Working the hamstrings, the inner thighs. And then we're going to come back down onto the forearms, walk those feet in, and we're going to come into child's pose. Stretching those fingertips out in front, placing the palms on the ground, forehead on the ground, and taking the buttocks back to the heels. And just relax into balasana, child's pose. Calming and relaxing the body. Palms facing down. Just continue to breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Coming back to the fingertips, sitting up. And now we're going to come into Dandasana, seated staff pose. Toes pointing up to the sky, separating the buttocks, calves, thighs, buttocks connecting with the mat. Lengthening through the top of the head. Engaging the navel, taking it back towards the spine, shoulders back and down, bending the elbows, come onto the fingertips or hands with blocks. Just making sure the whole body is nice and active. Upper body lengthening, lower body contracting. Inhale, exhale. Just enjoying seated staff pose. Finding a moment of calm in this gorgeous active seated position. Coming back onto the palms of the hands, slight back bend, and then coming forward from the hips. We take the hands to the shins, the big toe, the sides of the feet, the front of the feet, whatever's comfortable for us. Bending those elbows. We're looking between the feet. We're not taking the head to the knees. We're taking the head towards the feet. We're lengthening from the sit bones to the top of the head. Coming in to Paschimottanasana, seated forward bend. Again, we can find stillness in this position, or as I like to do, wiggle those sit bones, find your comfortable position, really connect with the mat, grounding into the position and coming forward. With each bounce, you will notice that you are coming slightly closer to your feet, not towards your knees, looking between those feet. Lengthening through the top of the head, remembering to breathe in and out through the nose. Enjoy the movement, the release in the lumbar spine, lengthening from the coccyx all the way to the crown chakra, the top of the head. You can place the hands on the mat at the side of the feet. You can play around with this. Really enjoy this posture. It's fantastic for stretching and strengthening, toning the legs and improving circulation as well. A very calming position, but when active, also very strengthening. Coming back onto the palms of the hands, back bend looking up, and we're just going to release those feet and ankles. Releasing the neck, looking side to side. Releasing any tension. Remember to breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. From here, we're going to come into Janusarsasana, head to knee pose. We're going to take the right foot either towards the calf or the inner thigh. And we're going to keep that left foot extended as we did in seated staff pose. So toes still pointing up to the sky. That extended leg is still nice and active. Coming onto the fingertips, back bend. And again, engaging the navel, stretching the fingertips up to the sky and lengthening with the top of the head and the fingertips. Coming down, taking the hands either side of the foot or grabbing the foot or the big toe. Lengthening through the top of the head, looking towards the big toe of the left foot. Really extending from the lumbar spine, bending from the hips. We can find stillness in Janusarsasana, or we can continue to move, introducing that little bounce. You can play around with your hands. Just enjoy the opening of the hips and the groin on the right side, the strengthening and stretching on the left side, and that gorgeous extension through the spine. We bring the hands just back behind the hips. We're going to stretch out that foot, release the neck again, and then we're going to change over sides. We're going to extend through the fingers, and we're going to lengthen, grabbing that foot again. We're just coming down on the left side again, looking towards the big toe, bouncing, coming forward from the hips, navel back to the spine. So important here to engage the core to get the maximum benefit from this posture, and also remember to breathe, keeping every muscle of the body nice and active. Coming back onto the palms of the hands, looking back, slight back bend, looking up towards the sky, releasing the neck, looking side to side, left and right, releasing the ankles, the toes, and we're going to change over sides. So lengthening that right foot out, toes pointing up to the sky, calves, thighs, buttocks connect with the mat, and the left foot comes towards the inner thigh or the calf, extending through the hands and forward as before from the hips. Grabbing that foot if it's available, hands to either side of the shin, placing the hands on the shin. Extending forward from the hips. Contracting that navel, pulling it back towards the spine. And looking at the big toe of the right foot. This is our drishti, or point of focus. Okay, so we're not trying to take the head towards the knee. We are taking the head towards the big toe. Inhale, exhale, bouncing or finding that place of stillness, whichever works for you. And just keeping focused on that big toe. Concentrating on that extension through the top of the head towards the big toe. Walking those fingertips back, placing the hands behind the hips, looking up towards the third eye, releasing the neck, side to side, looking both sides. Going to walk those hands forward, and we're going to come back again into the right side, coming forward from the hips back into head to knee pose on the right side, looking towards that big toe. And just becoming aware of how much closer the chest is getting to the thigh or the shin. How much closer the tip of the nose is coming to the big toe. Play around with your hand position. Play around with bouncing, with releasing, or just relaxing into the pose. But keep that front foot, the toes pointing up to the sky, nice active legs. And from here, we're just going to come back onto the forearms. Place the feet flat on the ground, underneath, just next to the buttocks, underneath the knees. And we're going to come up into bridge pose. So we can use the hands to support the hips. We can place the palms flat on the mat, or we can clasp the hands underneath the body. We're going to walk those shoulders in. We're going to take the chin to the chest, and we're going to raise the body up from the pelvis, lengthening through the top of the body, engaging the buttocks. Play around with this. Make sure the feet are directly under the knees. Make sure you are nice and comfortable. Allow that chin to fall towards the chest. And then come back down. Release the shoulders. Take the knees up to the chest. Take the forehead to the knees. And just release. Placing those feet back down again, close to the buttocks, walking those shoulders under, raising the buttocks off the mat, again engaging your hands underneath the hips, clasped flat on the mat, pulling up with the pelvis bones, lengthening through the navel, pulling it up towards the sky, engaging the sit bones, the buttocks. And you can start to take the knees together and apart if you'd like some extra tension. If you are familiar with this pose, you can do this. It's going to give you extra toning in the inner thighs as well. Makes it a little bit harder. Taking those knees up to the forehead, rolling into a ball, releasing the back, placing the feet down onto the mat, and now into corpse pose. Shoulders down, relaxing the muscles of the face. Toes pointing out, palms facing up. And just relax here for as long as you like.